On the first day of marrying a wealthy heir, the girl was mercilessly thrown into an abyss by her new husband. Fortunately, she was caught by a withered branch, which saved her life. When she regained consciousness, she hurriedly called for help toward the opening above, but there was no response. Ellipod decided to start climbing toward the top, but the rock walls were too smooth, leaving her with no foothold. She began searching for another way out and soon came across a cave glowing with a faint blue light. To reach it, however, she had to cross an unfathomable chasm. Summoning her courage, Ellipod leapt toward the other side. Because of the injury on her leg, she nearly fell off the cliff. At the critical moment, the chain on her clothes caught on a crack, steadying her. She pulled out a dagger from her chest and after great effort, finally climbed onto the platform. The source of the blue glow turned out to be insects and their secretions. Thinking quickly, Ellipod tore a piece of cloth, wrapped some fireflies inside, and fashioned a makeshift lantern. Deeper in the cave, she found a small pool of water. Thirsty, she scooped it up eagerly, only to discover it was filthy. She had no choice but to rely on drops of water dripping from melting ice above. As she closed her eyes to savor the faint relief, the icicles overhead suddenly began to melt. A streak of red light cut through the darkness, followed by a monster descending with flames. Ellipod quickly hid inside a narrow crevice, holding her breath to avoid being discovered. Suddenly, she noticed markings carved into the walls, along with the tattered clothes of many dead women. It dawned on her that these were all girls like her, deceived by the rich heir and thrown here as offerings to the monster. In this temporary safe zone, Ellipod finally allowed herself to rest, leaning against the stone wall to sleep, but she soon woke with a start, realizing that her left foot was covered with fireflies. Disgusted, she brushed them off, only to discover that her wound had miraculously healed. To confirm her suspicion, she placed another firefly on her arm. Sure enough, the wound quickly sealed. With her strength restored, Ellipod regained confidence. From a map etched into the cave, she learned that if she continued along this path, she could reach another exit, proof that someone had once escaped. After carving her own name into the wall, she set off with the fireflies lighting her way. Before long, she reached a crystal-lined cave where sunlight filtered in. She picked up a crown lying on the ground, tore her down into strips, and wrapped them around her arms and legs for climbing. Suddenly, a dark shadow appeared at the top of the cave, letting out a terrifying roar. Ellipod panicked and accidentally slipped. The monster opened its bloody jaws, waiting patiently for its prey to fall. At the last second, Ellipod used the crown to hook onto a rock, narrowly saving herself. She scrambled upward desperately and managed to reach the top, but when she finally arrived at the exit, she realized it led only to a sheer cliff. There was no way down. Overwhelmed with despair, Ellipod nearly broke down. Just then she heard the sound of horses' hooves in the distance. She waved her arms and shouted to draw attention, only for the monster to swoop toward her. Terrified, she backed into a corner where she found a human skeleton. It suddenly became clear, the woman who had drawn the map on the wall had never escaped after all.